Hi everyone, this is Maureen Wong for Your Next Stamp again, and today I'm using this image called Pop The Bubbly. It comes with this cute image and 3 matching sentiments, and right now I'm just using the image, so I've already stamped him out in Memento ink, and this is plain Georgia Pacific white cardstock from Walmart. Normally when you do watercoloring you'd need watercolor paper, but this image is so small. Well, it's a big image, but it has very small coloring areas. So if I don't use too much water, I'm not going to have a problem just coloring on regular cardstock. So let's get started. I'm using InkTense pencils today, which are a very unique type of watercolor pencil. And I'm starting with Willow 1900 for his face. Oh, wait, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay. I'm just putting a very little bit of the color. You can see that there. I'm getting my brush with some water and I'm going to spread out that color. And you can see how easily the color spreads. I just love these InkTense pencils. They're so much fun to play with. And there you go. That's his face. Let me get his hands. Okay, moving on. The next area I'm going to color is his hair, and I'm using the color Bark, which is number 2000. And what I'm going to do is draw a little hairline in darkly, and then I'm going to do a little bit of hair strokes coming out from that hairline, and then just a little bit on the tips. And that's going to be enough color. So again, I just draw down from the hairline, and then draw out from the hairline, and then draw back from the ends. And there's his hair all colored. This is what I meant about being a very small image, meaning small areas of coloring space, that they color up super quick and with hardly any water. Next, I'm going to color the bottle, and I'm using, let's see, Beach Green 1510. And with the InkTense pencils, you can vary how hard you push down, so how much pigment comes out of the pencil. So you have a lot of control with these pencils, and you have a lot of color variances depending on how much pencil you put down. Sorry, I had something on the tip of my brush. Okay, that's better. Now the other side. Okay, and if I want to make the darker areas of the bottle, all I have to do is come back in with a little bit more pencil, color that in, and then draw it out with my water brush. And I'm trying not to use a lot of layers and a lot of water, otherwise I'll start to see the paper pill up. And that's enough to make the bottom edge of the bottle just a little bit darker. Now for the top part of the bottle, same thing, beach green. And I'm just coloring right along the edges. And then bringing the water to draw the color into the center. I apologize if I keep turning the paper. I like to color a certain direction, so I'm going to be turning the paper a lot to get that direction how I like it. Okay, and there's the top of the bottle. Next I'm going to do the label of the bottle, and for that I am using Sienna Gold. Not the label, I mean the foil wrapper. I actually am going to use this for the label as well, but that's going to be in just a moment. Okay, turn it the other way. One really neat property of InkTense pencils is that once it dries, as long as you've drawn all of the color out that can be drawn out, once the water dries from the image, the ink is permanent. And so you don't have to worry about, once I do this green area, as soon as it dries, I can move on to the yellow area and not having to worry about wetting that image, that part of the image, and having the color run out into my foil. So that's a really neat thing about InkTense pencils. And because I'm using very little water here, it's drying very quickly. So now let's move on to the label. Okay. And you see how fast and easy this is? And just move on to the other side. Okay, and if I want it to be a little bit darker under those ribbon ends, because the ribbon would be casting a shadow on the bottle, I can just come in with a little more color. And instead of drawing that all the way out, I'm just going to color over it so it's making a shadow right underneath the ribbon ends. I'm not going to draw the color out into the center of the image. It's just shadowing right under the ribbon. Okay, there we go. We'll let that dry. And move on to the champagne. And for that, I'm using Sicilian Yellow 0220. And for this part, I want a really, really light color. So I'm going to actually take the color off the tip of the pencil, if you can see that, with my wet paintbrush, and then draw in my very light yellow champagne color. And then I'm going to color the bubbles very, very lightly also, just to give them a little bit of color and interest. And I'm coloring them with the same champagne color so that it looks like the bubbles are actually coming off of the champagne. That one got a little bit dark, so let me get some water. And I'm going to just lighten that up. And that's how easy it is. Okay, and the champagne is done. And you know what I realize now is that I forgot to color his neck in, so I'm just going to go back really quickly and color in his neck. Okay. Now I'm going to move on to his pants. I'm moving around here because you want to let each section dry before you do something right next to it. Otherwise the colors could bleed into each other. But like I said, once it's dry, it's permanent, so then you don't have to worry about the colors bleeding, even if you re-wet an area. So we'll get his... I have him wearing jeans. I know he's popping champagne, but I think he's just wearing a pair of nice jeans with his sweater. And I'm using kind of a lot of color because I don't want him wearing very faded jeans. This is kind of a fancy occasion after all. So I'm going to put down kind of a lot of color and then draw that out as I have been doing before with my water brush. And you can see, even without using watercolor paper, there's lots of play time involved with these InkTense pencils. You can actually drag the color around, move them around how you like them. I'm going fairly quickly, but not too quickly that I can't be careful and stay in the lines and all of that. But you can see I can drag the color back to areas if I want them a little bit darker. Okay, and his jeans are done. I'm also doing part of the ribbon in that same, I don't know if I said the color, Deep Blue 0850. So let's go back and do the ribbon. Okay, and I'm doing the ribbon now because I'm fairly certain at this point that the label is dry, so I won't be contaminating the color if it happens to run, if the water runs a little bit. Okay, that is the ribbon. And just a couple areas left, one of which is his shoes, and I'm going to go in, and you can feel that his pants are actually dry already. I'm going to go in with Ink Black 2200. And it's going to be a little bit darker and shadowed right under the jeans, where his jeans legs end, and then on the bottoms. And I'm going to start in the corner and draw the color out. And it gets naturally lighter at the top of his shoes. And that's exactly how I want it. Okay. Shoes. And now for his shirt, I'm going to use Neutral Gray 2120. And I can feel that ribbon is dry already, so I don't have to worry about the ribbon. And it's going to be darker along the edges of his shirt. And where there's folds and creases. And there. Drawing the color out into the center. And up his arm, let's go this way, down his arm actually. There we go. One last bit. I'm going to go back in with the same sienna gold that I used on the bottle label and foil for this inner portion of the ribbon. Which I can do now because the outer portion of the ribbon is already dry, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay, and there is our finished image. If I want to draw a ground under him so he's not floating in the air, what I can do is just come back in with my neutral gray again. Draw a little ground line. Now he's not floating anymore. If you want him to have just a little bit of shadowing underneath his feet, we can draw in some shadowing. And it's up to you whether or not you want to hit that with a little bit of water. And there we go. He is now standing on some sort of sidewalk or concrete. And that is our finished image. So please go to yournextstamp.com, check out Time for Bubbly and all the other stamps and dies and products at yournextstamp.com, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later.